I keep coming back to that night. Los Angeles, somewhere south of the 10, 3 in the morning. The kind of hour where the city stops pretending and just breathes. Exhaust and jasmine and the hum of power lines. I was driving east on Washington, past body shops with their gates down, past taco trucks still lit up for nobody. The warehouse didn't have a sign, just a number spray-painted on a roll-up door. I parked, sat in the car for a minute, checked my phone. 14 new annotation flags from the system. I remember thinking, they're still going. They were always still going. The project didn't have an official name. Internally, people called it the reconstruction. Externally, it didn't exist. The warehouse was on its third month of 20-hour days, 52 people working in shifts across 3 time zones. Engineers in Seoul, choreographers in London, data analysts in Sao Paulo pulling audience response archives from 40 years of broadcast footage. And in Los Angeles, in this building that smelled like concrete dust and burnt coffee, the capture floor. 48 cameras, a performer in a tracking suit covered in reflective markers, 212 of them, each one a data point the system could read. Infrared arrays along the ceiling, fog machines calibrated to scatter light in ways that matched the original atmospheric conditions. Red accent lights. Not for mood, for reference. The system needed them to calculate shadow depth. My job was supposed to be simple. I was the subtitle translator, Japanese to English, English to Japanese. But the project had grown, and my role had grown with it. I'd become the cultural annotator, the person who flagged moments where the emotional meaning didn't survive the conversion, where something got lost between the original and the reconstruction. I flagged a lot of moments. The system was extraordinary. I won't pretend otherwise. It could analyze a piece of archival performance footage, grainy, degraded, shot on equipment that no longer exists, and extract skeletal motion data accurate to 1/4 of a degree. It could map muscle microcontractions from shadow patterns. It could infer the weight distribution of a performer's body from the way fabric creased across their shoulders. The motion capture rig translated all of this onto a live performer in real time. Kenji, our performer, would stand in the center of the capture floor, and the system would feed corrections through a haptic suit. Tiny vibrations along his spine, his wrists, the backs of his knees, nudging him into alignment with the source data. The playback monitors showed both feeds side by side, the original and the reconstruction, and frame by frame you could see the gap closing between them. Every week, the technical team ran metrics: skeletal accuracy, velocity curves, spatial frequency matching on the body silhouette. The numbers were remarkable. 96%, then 98, then 99.3. The numbers said we were almost there. My screens looked different from theirs. I worked at a station in the back corner of the warehouse. 2 monitors, a notebook, a thermos that was never full enough. My left screen showed the subtitle timeline, every line of narration, every audience-facing caption, synchronized to the reconstruction footage. My right screen showed my annotation layer, timestamps where I'd marked cultural friction. Friction. That was my word for it. The moments where the reconstruction did exactly what the data said it should do, and it still felt wrong. I'd pull up the original footage. I'd watch a gesture, a head tilt, a shoulder drop before a turn, and I'd feel something. A catch in the chest. Recognition. The sense that this body on screen understood something about being watched. Then I'd pull up the reconstruction. Same gesture, same angle, same velocity, and the feeling was gone. I wrote it up every time. Cultural annotation flag, emotional fidelity deviation. I had a whole taxonomy. The engineers were polite about it. They read my reports. They adjusted parameters. They told me the next build would be closer. It was always closer. It was never there. The night I keep coming back to was a Tuesday. They'd hit 99.7. The director called the whole team onto the capture floor to watch a full run-through. Someone had brought champagne, which I thought was premature, but I didn't say that. Kenji performed the full sequence, 3 minutes and 42 seconds, every marker in the green. The haptic corrections were so fine now that he barely needed them. His body had memorized the data. On the monitors, the reconstruction played in real time. It was, technically, perfect. The silhouette matched, the timing matched, the spatial frequencies, the velocity curves, the shadow maps. Everything the system could measure said this was indistinguishable from the original. People clapped. Someone opened the champagne. I didn't clap. I was watching Kenji's face. He was standing in the center of the floor, still in the tracking suit, 212 markers catching the overhead light. He was watching himself on the monitor, his digital self, and his expression. I recognized it because I'd been cataloging expressions for 3 months. It was the face of someone watching a stranger use their body. After that night, something shifted. Kenji started arriving later, leaving earlier. He'd do the takes, he was professional, he never refused. But the looseness was gone. Between takes, he'd sit on the edge of the capture floor with his head down, markers still glowing on his suit like a constellation that had lost its myth. I understood. The system had learned him so completely that it didn't need him to be present anymore. It just needed his skeleton, his muscle memory, the precise angles of his joints, everything that made the movement his, the hesitations, the instincts, the places where his body chose to resist the choreography for 1/10 of a second before committing. The system had cataloged those too, and smoothed them out. That was the problem. I could see it in my annotation logs. Hundreds of flags, and they all pointed to the same thing. The system had optimized away the friction. The original performer, whoever they were, decades ago, in a studio that no longer existed, hadn't moved with precision. They'd moved with intention. And intention has texture. It stutters. It holds back. It commits too late or too early. It breathes. The reconstruction didn't breathe. I wrote my last annotation at 4 in the morning. Everyone else had gone home. The warehouse was just me, the hum of the servers, and the red reference lights still burning along the walls. I typed, "What is missing is not the movement. What is missing is the pause before the movement. The moment where a human being decides, consciously or not, to move. That gap between impulse and action. The system cannot reproduce it because it was never recorded. It exists in the space between frames. In the breath a performer takes that the camera doesn't see. In the weight of knowing that someone is watching and choosing, in that fraction of a second, to let them." I saved the file, closed the laptop, sat in the quiet. The fog machines were still running. Red light caught the haze and held it. I drive past that warehouse sometimes. The project moved on. Different building, different phase. I don't know if they ever read that annotation, but I think about the pause, the turn that hasn't happened yet, the held breath before someone becomes what they're about to become. You can't capture that. You can only be there when it happens.